and welcome to the Anjula Devi Cooking School, and today we're going to teach you how to make really good Indian food, and we're going to start off with something really simple like a lentil curry. Now, to make really good Indian food, you've got to know the key players, just like in music. So our key players, and something that we always need to use as a base, are things like mustard seeds, cumin, coriander, some black peppercorn, turmeric, and obviously some red dry chilies. Now I've just grinded our own. You can buy chili powder, but I prefer to grind my own. Now the other thing that's really important, particularly in lentils, is this here. The smelliest stuff on earth. It'll probably give the smelliest cheeses a run for their money as well. However, it's absolutely beautiful. It's actually asafoetida, and sometimes known as hing, and it's actually resin of a tree. Now I have no idea who decided that, this could be eaten. However, I'm glad they did, because it's beautiful. So do not be put off by the smell, because actually when it goes into butter, it just changes into the most sublime, beautiful flavour, almost kind of garlic and an onion flavour. And in fact, vegetarians quite often rely on this, purely because some vegetarians, and particularly in our Indian culture, some of them don't actually eat onions and garlic. So this is brilliant. So let's get cooking. So now what we need to do is, now dal, I'm really sorry, but does need butter, I'm afraid. So into our pan, we're going to put in some ghee, which I've just made myself, and it's just basically clarified butter. Okay, so in goes about 3 ounces. And I'm also going to add a little bit of oil as well. Vegetable oil I'm using. Don't ever use olive oil. It's just far, far too pungent for Indian cooking. But you can use most other oils. Okay, so just warming that through. And then into that, I'm going to throw in our spices and just get all the aromas floating around into the oil. Okay, so I put in a teaspoon of cumin. I'm going to put just half a teaspoon of brown mustard seeds. I'm going to put in a level teaspoon of coriander, a pinch of black peppercorn, and then just a level teaspoon of dry chili flakes, and then half a teaspoon of that beautiful smelly resin. I mean, the smell is amazing. I mean, and that resin, the hing, has just changed completely different flavours. The coriander has become quite grassy and earthy, whereas before it had a real zest to it. So this is what you really need to do to start with. Get those spices, really, all those flavours into that butter and that oil. And then in goes some onions. And basically, I've just put these through the blender, and I'm going to put in about 2 tablespoons, and that's roughly about 2 medium-sized onions. And then we're just going to give that a stir, and then we're just going to allow this cook, quite gently. We don't really want too much colour on these right now. And just really look at, it smells delicious, it really does. Okay, so now let's just backtrack. So we've got our key spices that have gone in, which is our mustard seeds, our cumin, our black peppercorn, our coriander seeds, some chili flakes, and some hing. And then while that's cooking, I'm just going to drop in some turmeric. I always like to do this last, because if turmeric burns, it really isn't very nice and it becomes quite bitter. Now look at that colour. Can you see how beautiful that colour is? And it's already smelling absolutely sensational, okay? Never ever put, all your spices in together, because, they all work at a different time, and you'll find that if you do that, some will burn and you'll lose the flavour of the dishes. So now our warming spices, and, something that's really going to give us our melody and our harmony. So I'm going to put in here half a teaspoon of fennel, okay? I'm going to add in 2 or 3 green cardamoms, and I'm going to put in 2 cloves and just the bark, or cassia bark, in there as well. So now that's going to start making magic in the pan as well, okay? So now we have all our spices in there, our key spices, our sweet aromatic spices in here as well. And I don't know if you can see this, but doesn't it look beautiful? It really does, and it smells sensational. Now, at this point, we're going to add in some salt. Now, we never ever really use table salt. It's really quite bad for you. And we actually use pink Himalayan rock salt. I'm just going to add in a teaspoon to start with, because as we all know, you can add, but you can't take away. So always start off with just a little bit of salt. Okay, so now that's really cooking down very, very nicely. Now, next ingredient, which is quite important, is all our other wet ingredients. So now we've got some garlic here. I'm going to put in a teaspoon of garlic. I'm going to put in a teaspoon of ginger. And then we've got some green chilies. And I'm just going to put in a teaspoon of green chilies. So really important green chilies. Now, if you're starting, kids off eating curry, then I would go with the really, really mild chili, which is these here. And they're called thin chilies. Basically, they're used for pickles, and they're really, really mild. And then now we need some thickening agents, usually tomatoes. Quite often you can use coconut milk, you can use cream, you can use yogurt. And then if you don't like any of those, you can actually roast some chickpea flour, gram flour that you use onion bhajis with, to cook onion bhajis with. And just roast it first and then add it, and that also acts as a thickening agent. So they're all natural thickening agents. You do not need to add anything artificial into your Indian cooking. Go to any Indian household, you will not find them, putting anything in there that's not good for you. So the beauty about, being able to cook your own Indian food is you're responsible for what goes in that pan. Now, there's no real rules in Indian cooking, other than, you do need to use the key spices, but actually, quite often when in the cooking school, we've had people come in and they've said, I really don't like coriander. Now, obviously, I don't understand why people don't like coriander, but it doesn't matter if they don't like coriander. Just leave it out. It's not going to ruin the entire dish. It is essential in Indian cooking, but if you don't like it, you don't like it. You're not going to get the curry please at the door saying, oh my God, you didn't use coriander. So it really, really does not matter, okay? If you don't like it, you don't like it. However, I will say that coriander actually changes its flavour altogether once it's been splattered into oil. So do bear that in mind, because if you don't really know what it tastes like once it's cooked, then you really probably do like coriander. Okay, so now that's cooking away. Now look how good that looks. Now this does take a little bit of time. We really just want to break down all of these ingredients and just bring them into one, so everything has merged together and all those sweet aromatic spices have come together and layered themselves on top of the key spices that we've used. Okay, and then now, because we've used tomatoes, we do need to balance out this curry. Very, very important. Anytime you use tomatoes in any curry, even in your bolognese, very important to balance out the acidity in tomatoes. And the way we do that is we use a little bit of jaggery, which is unrefined sugar cane. Okay, looks like that. Okay, you can buy it in most major supermarkets now, and it's much, much better for you than sugar. And in fact, it doesn't give you a real hit of sweetness. What it does, it really just balances out the acidity in the tomatoes really, really nicely, almost like a caramel taste. Okay, so now look at that. Look how wonderful that looks. So now we're nearly there. Okay, now that wasn't hard at all, was it? Really important is just to make sure that you're putting those spices in at the right time. Now also, I have here some fresh curry leaves. Amazing. Now I know a lot of people struggle to get these, because obviously when we're teaching we're always talking about these, and in there I'm going to put in about 8 curry leaves, so they've gone in as well. Now this, we're now coming up to the finale really. We're really almost there. We're still stirring. Look how good that looks. Okay, now here I have lentils bubbling away. Okay, and I've just given these a thorough wash till the water's run clear, and then as it's come to the boil, you'll find that a lot of I think it's almost like starchy stuff. It looks like scum. It really isn't. It's just, the starch from the lentils. You just really want to get rid of that. And you can see it here. Can you see it around the saucepan where I've just removed it? And then some of it's just kind of touching that pan there. You just want to get rid of that. It won't harm you if you don't, but you just get a cleaner and nicer finish if you get rid of that. And you almost want it kind of almost quite mushy, but not so mushy. I hate those lentils, where there's no texture at all. So you want it kind of looking just like that, okay? Nowhere, not as much as, you know, so that it almost looks like a soup. We really want a little bit of texture going on in there. Now, okay, so we talked about the sourness of this lentil curry. Now, the sourness of this lentil curry, what we're going to add is tamarind. And I absolutely love tamarind. So here it is in its wet form, okay? All you simply do is you just take it, put it in some really hot water. And what happens, it turns out like that. Can you see all the stuff still in there? And it's just, oh, I love it. I'd put it in everything if I could. And then you put it through the sieve and you get this, okay? And you just get rid of all of that, basically. And then what you get is some pure tamarind paste. And in there goes 2, oh, maybe 3 spoons of tamarind, okay? Give it in a stir. Now this, look how good that looks. Isn't it amazing? Oh, and they should invent smelly vision, shouldn't they? I don't know why no one's come up with that yet. There you go. Look how wonderful that looks. Okay, so now we're almost ready to put in our lentils. And we're simply just going to drop them into this pan. Now that just looks fantastic. Right, so in with our beautiful, mushy, creamy, and I've not added any cream to this, be careful because it does splutter. Basically, if it doesn't splutter, it's not going to taste nice. No, not really. Okay, so in goes that delicious. The spluttering will stop, so don't worry too much. Look at that, look how beautiful that looks. Now, because we've already got all those flavours in there, it's not going to take us very long at all. And I actually like it nice and thick. Now, if you didn't like it, you know, thick and you wanted it a bit more runny, all you do is actually just add a little bit of water to this and just reduce it for about 5 minutes. But we don't want to do that. Now, look at that. That is our lentil curry. Okay, so just put that down there, and I'm going to just bring this over here because I just want to quickly show you how good this lentil curry looks. Look at that. You've still got those little bit of tomato going on there, and you can almost see everything that's gone in there. Now, to finish off with, and our finale for this dish, you really do want to temper. And tempering means, you know, putting some spices into oil like this. So you just basically get a pan, okay, you put in a little bit of oil, okay, and for tempering all you really need is some cumin, tiniest bit of brown mustard seeds, okay, a couple of whole red chilies and some curry leaves, and maybe just a tiniest bit of turmeric. And then you're just going to let that sizzle a tiny bit. And basically what happens, ideally what you want to do is do this as you take it to the table, because it's really kind of real nice, wow, gives it a wow factor. So those are now spluttering really nicely. And basically all you do is you put in your lentil curry into your bowl like this. Okay. And then the finale is this just gets poured over the top. And look at that sizzle. You've got to hear that sizzle, okay? And there you go. There is your lentil curry.